So, okay. So we're going to go ahead with our demo. Tonight's block, I'm not even sure how to say this name. Farlamia. I don't know anybody by that name, but that was the name they chose for this block. These are the 6 blocks for this month, and we're on month 8. So you got kind of a reprieve and a day to catch up. And then don't forget, 2 weeks from today, we'll have a sew time if you want to come anytime between 1 and 7. Sit and sew for a while. If there's something you need help with, I'll help you. Or if you just like to sew with people around, that'll be good. And so tonight we're going to do a little bit of this one. And while we were sitting here, I started putting the segments together because I thought it might be faster. This actually goes here. And then I've lost one. Oh, I'm getting ready to make one. And then this will go here. Now what we discovered last time, if you're looking at the front of your blocks, you've got to be looking at the backs of your papers. Because remember I sewed one and we ended up with the colors reversed because I had the front of the box up and then I had the paper showing the side that you are written on. So that didn't work very well. This one is a combination of paper piecing and templates, only because you've got some Y seams. Because when I get this one done like that, it's got to go in here, there. And so, and I've been kind of playing with it while we were waiting. I took some of the papers out after I got the segment done before I start putting segments together. Some of you might find that easier to just switch to template mode after you get the sections done. If you do that, and when I put the other pieces together, I'll show you what I mean by that. So we're going to work from the back side like this. Now I've already got my piece ready here, and I folded back. Let's move this out of the way. I folded back, and we're going to put the green piece in the middle. And remember your papers, and I think we're having much less errors, much less problems with the fabric amounts not being quite enough.
Yeah, they have too much.
Now you have a little more than you need, but you should have plenty. So we're going to first of all just stick this to the freezer paper. If you're not using freezer paper as your foundation, just pin it. And again, I've cut off the seam allowances that are usually on the outside of the segments, just because I like to work that way. And now we're going to find, and by the way, we should get one of these and show you. Kathleen, would you mind going and getting one of those plus rulers so I can show you how they're different?
Add a quarter, add at least.
It's add a quarter plus.
Oh, add a quarter plus.
Yes, and the plus is kind of interesting. And I'll show you. So the first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and get rid of the excess on these 2 sides where I'm getting ready to add a fabric. And I don't know if you'll be able to see it on the film, but you'll be able to see it. It has a slanted side here, so that when you do this folding part, I think it works better like that, upside down. I'm going to pass this around so you can feel it. It has a ridge here for you to fold against. Plus it's got a little bit of extra room, but now it takes away the need for your index card, or I've already lost it.
X-ray paper.
It's still at a quarter on one side. The plus is the folding side.
Yes, it's this on one side, and then they've got a tapered edge here that you can fold against. So you can look at that.
Kind of does the same thing as that piece of
Here.
X-ray
Same thing
paper
as
that
this.
Pam passed around for you to use.
So that's something new. If at some point you need to replace your add a quarter ruler, then you might want to consider the add a quarter plus. Okay, so now I have my piece here, and I'm looking at this shape. This is one of the things that we kept talking about. When you're looking at the back side of the paper, that's the exact shape you need, and you slide your fabric under face up. Only now we need to go, and we've got more than we need, which is, I think, easier. At some point you could probably cut these down and work with smaller pieces and have less excess and still do okay. But because the shape is pointing down this way, you want the shape of your fabric piece pointing the same way. So we're gonna come over here and sew it real quick. And now you want to make sure that you flip this one back so that you don't end up with catching the edge of your fabric in the next piece you're going to add. Because here's where I'm going to add. Now I could take my rotary cutter and go ahead and slice that off. I'm not going to take the time to do it because it's not in my way, but I have to slide my fabric under that way.
Bless you. Thank you.
And okay, when I get that part done, I'm ready to give it a little press. And now I can trim the excess around to have my 1/4 inch. Now, you want to be careful with this because you really don't have as much of a ridge there like you do when the fabric's folded back over the paper. But this way you can get a nice precise unit. And it's just a flying goose. But because of the way it's constructed, it was easier to put it on paper pieces. So that's the piece that goes right here. My next piece is the square for the center and the little wedge shape that you see here. And they were combined. The first piece was this piece number 1, this kind of a parallelogram. Say that 3 times fast. And I'm going to stick that down. I'm going to turn it around here and I'll show you something about this one. And I've got, in your kit, you have kind of a long piece.
Long piece of green.
I have a long piece of green, and I just left it whole. Because now I can flip this back and get rid of the excess here. And that'll give me the piece of green I need for the other one. Now, they have, you could put that together in other order. You could start with the triangle in the center. You could not start with the big square because you wouldn't be able to get your other pieces in. So sometimes there's other orders you could put it together. Now, I'm going to try to fold this where you can kind of see that. Can you see the triangle shape? That's the shape I'm aiming for next. And notice how the wide piece is here down by my thumb and the pointed part is up here by my index finger. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this piece. And now I need to make sure that it matches the shape and the orientation so that the pointy part is at the top and the wide part is down here at the bottom. And that's the way I have it, so that it'll lay down the way it needs to. Now we're going to flip this back and slide it under. And it's nice to have a little thread cutter there. I'm going to finger press that so we don't get any creases in there. And now this little parallelogram shape, the E3 shape, is the next one I'm after. I'm going to flip back my paper and get rid of that. Now I need another piece of this green. And because it's solid, I've got several different ways I can place it. It's actually just that shape, the parallelogram shape here. And I just need to make sure that I'm covered. I'm going to flip it this way because that gives me a little bit of extra room there. And I'm ready to go. Make sure I'm going to have clean, and I do. So I'm going to flip this back. But the biggest trick is, however the shape needs to go in, you slide it under, face to face, slide it underneath. Okay, so now we're ready to get rid of this little ridge. Now I'm going to fold this back, and notice I got a couple of extra stitches here going into that square. You just peel back the paper and it'll peel right off of there, so it's not in your way. And now this time I've got plenty, and like I said, we've decided it's easier for you to have a little extra, and we're going to sew that. Now on this one, I did something I'm gonna have to probably go back and undo over there. Because I happen to know that this is gonna go into a Y seam, I've got right here, I wanna stop and start right on the paper. I don't wanna go past that, because it's gonna make it harder to get the other pieces in the way I want them to.
Show me that again, please.
Okay? Sometimes when you're, let me get my pointer that you can actually sometimes see. Sometimes when you're paper piecing and you're on your last seam and you sew off to the end, you don't want to do that on this, because this is going to end up in a Y seam right there.
Got it.
So you want to make sure that you stop right at the point. You're going to have a Y seam here too, but it actually, the way you're going to do it, stitch it in there, it's not going to be a problem. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to trim all the way around. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. Well, there we go. And now we've got all of our segments done. And like I said, I've already started putting the segments together. So now this piece is going to go right here. Okay? And you can see how it's all going to fit together. And I started sewing kind of the ring around. I think the easiest way to sew this is going to be to put these three sides in next. So that's what I'm going to do. And we actually kind of have a Y seam right here that we're going to deal with. And the way we deal with that is we're going to stitch from corner to corner, the corner of the paper to the corner of the paper. So I'm going to get my pin cushion, and I'm going to pin right where the corner of the paper is, and then I want to flip it over and make sure I'm right at the corner where this seam came together. And just hold your pins together, so that's just going to hold your place, and then we're going to pin into here. And we have, we're being serenaded. She'll be livid that I didn't tell her that she was being filmed, but, okay.
Background.
Yeah.
Then we've got into that point and flip it over. And this is kind of one of those things you kind of have to hold your mouth right, because it does have its own little issues, but make sure that those points match. And now, when I'm stitching from point to point. The point of the paper to the point of the paper. And
She doesn't sound like a little girl, does she?
the really tricky part of this song she's singing is I'm supposed to play it for her. Had it all kind of worked out, and then she told me I didn't have to because they missed their deadline, and then she told me the other day, now I do have to play it. Okay, so now we're going to flip this back, and we're locked down here. We want to make sure that it matches point to point here, and this is why I started taking out some of the paper, because sometimes the paper kind of prevents you from being where you want to be. And see, I got that little piece of fabric tag locked down there, so we're going to, hang on, we're going to release that. because it was tacked up under there.
She's way out of my register. Down here in the basement. That's why I sing them in tenors.
I'm not sure. I don't want you to be quiet and let me listen to her.
She has improved a lot in the last year. Her voice is maturing.
Well, the funny thing was, is in junior high, her teacher said, she has a really dark sound, and I really don't understand why. And I said, because she's been listening to Elvis since she was 2. He said, well, that could do it. So. Okay, I think we got that one.
Would that be because mom and dad like Elvis?
No, that's because she liked
Really?
Elvis.
We don't know why she liked it.
You don't know why?
No, we don't know. She came out of the womb liking him.
And I was not necessarily an Elvis fan, but one day we were at Long John Silver's, and they have an old-fashioned jukebox. I don't know if they still do or
She
not.
was like 2 or 3.
And we were sitting in there, and somebody had dialed up Elvis, and she looked up at me. She was tiny, and she said, "Is that Elvis?" And I
Oh
said,
my goodness.
yes. And then I felt really bad when she was about 3. She knew all of the Elvis songs, but she didn't know all of the children's songs that she knew. Okay, so I'm going to put my pin there. And hold my place.
This looks far too complicated.
And some of, now this is among the more complicated, just because of these extra pieces.
Yeah, but you've had lots of practice on those others. So this one won't be any help.
Nah. No big thing. Okay.
Just remember.
Those are the ones I printed on, the Y seams.
Well, and I think everybody should learn to do Y seams. Sometimes they're necessary. Plus, it really gives you an appreciation for when you find a pattern where you don't have to have.
Do it by hand. Much easier.
That's true.
That's the only way to do it as far as I'm concerned. By hand.
Well, and some people like to do them by hand because they feel like they can get
They can control it.
control it better.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've got that seam in. I'm almost into this seam. You just have to make sure that you keep those little tails, ears, and we're going to poke right into that pin. That pin. And really, there aren't a whole lot of places that you have to match up except those corners. Okay, we're going to put it here. Okay, so now we've got, so far so good. This piece is going to need to go here. This piece is going to need to go here, and then this piece will go here. You want me to keep going? You think you've seen enough?
Torture.
Okay, really? Oh, come on. Okay, so let me show you. I'm going to put this one in here. Let me turn it upside down. And I'm just pushing these seam allowances up out of my way. And all I'm worried about right now is this line and this line. And you can do it by hand if you want to. I think Pamela's doing some of hers by hand. Because of the way they had you put your pieces together on the paper piecing, these two seams right here nest. There's a diagonal seam right there and right there. They should nest together. And we're going to twist this just a bit. And I'm going to use my pin, a second pin, to put my pieces together. And I'm right at this corner where my thumb is. That's where I want to go in. Oh, no, I didn't go in the right place. And I want to come out right at that corner where my fingers are pointing. And then I'm just holding that pin in place and then pinning beside it. And then I'm going to stitch from corner of the paper to corner of the paper. Now, if you happen to have a big block where you had something like this, it wouldn't be as big of a deal, but because your pieces are little, it makes this a little bit more of a challenge, but it's still doable.
Just a little bit of a challenge.
Come on. Okay, so I've got that side in. And then this is gonna go across here. And we're going to go from this corner where my thumb is to this corner where my thumb is. And there's a matching place on the back side where they have to line up. They're gonna line up with the corner of the paper. And somehow I cut that really wacky because it's not at all right. I don't know if you can see that, but can you see that that's not a 1/4 of an inch at all?
Okay. I
We're going
understand.
from corner to corner, so we're not gonna worry about it. I'm not gonna worry about taking it off and re-trimming it or whatever. We're just going to go. And this is already locked down, so I'm not even gonna worry about pinning it. I'm gonna go all the way across. Okay.
Someone must have been going back home.
Diane Hassman and
So so far, we're just
Pamela
got,
said they can't get here. If they can figure out how to get turned around, they're going back home.
You're still stuck?
If they weren't to Guido's yet, if they could have got past that, I'd go with side road, but.
okay, so now this one, and remember I told you because the paper's kind of stiff, sometimes you don't have to do a whole lot of pinning. Because if I know this is correct, this one should line up because the seam allowances are all lined up. So sometimes you can actually do less pinning because of the paper that's there to help stabilize things.
You don't have to pull that pin out of there?
I'm not sewing over that pin. The pin's not in my way. So I'm not going to pull it out. Because my pin is back here behind where I actually started sewing. And now, we're going to, and sometimes you have to fold the paper to keep it out of your way. We're going to go all the way across, tuck that under there, to this corner and that corner of the paper. And this particular block is probably the one that has taken me the longest of any of the ones I've done.
I better block a Sunday for it.
For a week?
Yeah, but just think, when you started this, you would have looked at this and said, absolutely not. But you can see that it's feasible.
Probably not.
I'm just saying the hard ones take me all day.
Don't feel alone.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's just one more segment to put in, and that's this segment right here. And it's got from point to point. I'm going to line up the corners.
Is that the prize for the drawing?
That one and that one over there.
Rosie's already tried that.
Didn't work, Rosie?
Oh, no.
Oh, man.
I think that was several
I couldn't
months
even
ago.
sneak it out, really.
Okay.
If she doesn't need two of them.
I think one's,
Kathleen?
yes.
The one on the board you made, all right?
I didn't get to make that one.
Oh,
I made one for a sample, and then I'm making this one, so then she gets to have one of them.
are you making it yourself at all?
No. No. Are you kidding? Do you know how many quilts we have? in a bag.
No, Kathleen used to make two when she did them, and we'd wind up with one, but
No, she
just-
didn't do that
she
this
just
time.
quit and started making one.
Why is that?
On some of the easier ones that we've done, I would do some of the piecing, and then Kathleen would do the applique portions. So she would do two appliques, and I would do two piecings, and we did wind up with a couple of the quilts. But on these complicated ones, we do good to wind up with enough to do one.
Okay, just one more seam and I'm done. Right here. So sometimes you have to fold the paper to get it out of your way so you can manipulate the block. Now, I'm gonna show you this one if I wanted to take the paper out. Before I take the paper out, just take a pencil and mark a dot at the corners where the paper comes. And then you can take out the bits of paper that are there. And this is how traditional Y seams would be done. You'd mark the corners with a pencil or some sort of a marking tool. And if you want to mark your corners and then tear your papers out carefully, then all I have to do is match up the pencil markings. So I've got a pencil marking right here, and I poke my pen through, find the pencil marking on the other side to match up. Is that making sense? And then I can do the same thing here. I've got my pencil marking here. I don't think you can probably see it, but trust me, I've got it gone through from one pencil mark to the next pencil mark. And now I'm ready to stitch. And I can actually stitch from the edge in on that if I want to, because that's not part of my Y seam. It's the inside here where I'm headed that is a three-way seam. And we're together. Now, on some of these, I would probably press the seams open between the segments and let them press the way they want to on the paper piecing part of it. So I think if we turn that one over, we would see that I pressed it open pretty much, so. And I'm a firm believer in let the seams go the way they want to go, and then you don't have to fight them.
That's right.
So at this point, you can take the papers out. And we haven't talked a lot about how to take papers out, but notice how I've got my thumbnail right next to the seam, because as you tear paper, you don't want to pull your stitches out. So I've just got my thumbnail right here by the seam so that it's stabilizing my stitching. You can just reach underneath there and grab that part and put your thumb right next to your seam and tear the paper. And if you're using paper other than freezer paper, it's not stuck to the fabric. The way mine is, it's stuck to the fabric, so you kind of have to peel it off. But you have your block, if you want to peel all the paper off before you press it, you can. But that is Farlamia, or however you say that. Farlamia.
Beautiful.
Okay.
Fun.
So, I don't know of any other issues with any of the others. Did you come up with any problems with any of the others?
They were a piece of cake compared to that.
See, she lucked out because I ended up doing the more challenging one. Now this one does have kind of a curved seam here. It's not really a Y. You put these three pieces together and these three pieces together and this piece together, and then you're going to have to do almost a modified Y
You're
seam.
standing in front of it. You need to
Yeah,
hold
we
that in
can't
front
see
of
what
you
you're
until
talking
that.
about, or put it on
But
the
it wasn't
camera.
hard, it was such a gradual, I mean, I did a little pinning and,
Okay, you're going to put these three pieces together, and these three pieces together, and this piece together, and then you've got kind of a Y seam here. It's not as sharp as some of these that we did, but you'll have to pin here and here to fit that all in. So that's the only other real issue with this month. Okay? And I don't know if any questions about this one? Okay, don't forget, 2 weeks from today, if you want to come and sew and bring whatever block you happen to be working on, you're welcome to. And did anybody bring show and tell?
I did.
Okay, show us what you brought.
They're not anything I made. I got them at a couple of auctions.
Just a practice session. Practice session. If you have any questions.
That's sweet.
I gave $20 for it.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
That's really nice for her, but isn't that sad?
Yes.
Yeah.
And you see these Afghans that people make that are in helping hands for $5. It's oh my gosh,
Yeah.
that's sick.
And it's all hand quilted. It's not itty bitty stitches or anything like that, but she was a lady from local, Prairie Grove, not Lincoln.
Is it marked? Does it have a label on it?
No, they had so many her quilts there. Some of them were hand quilted, some of them were machine, but this one, I wanted the hand quilted, and I went for this one. This one is also hand quilted, not by the same lady. It was a lady from Prairie Grove that passed away, and I think I gave $25 for this one as well. Nobody wanted it. I fell in love with it.
Oh, my goodness.
I just think it's just gorgeous.
Okay, Rosie, we want to see your face.
Here, let me help you.
Okay,
Hold
got
that
it.
right there so your little head's right
See,
above the
look at
dress.
this.
See?
Look at this one here. Look at this fabric. Isn't that I love that fabric. I just thought it was so pretty. Nobody wanted this lady's quilting because they said that it was too far apart and huge stitches. Well, yeah, she was 94 years old.
Yeah. Where did you get that, Rosie?
At an auction in Prairie Grove. This one came from an auction in Prairie Grove. I want to say the other one might have come from Fayetteville, but I can't really remember. Fayetteville doesn't have a lot of auctions with quilts. Lincoln, Prairie Grove, where do we just do one? Westville are the ones that really, I've seen some really nice things going. Really nice.
This is hand piece.
I think anyway.
Who does the auctions?
Leon and David. Leon is, what's Leon's
What's her last name?
I'm trying to remember.
David Cripps?
No.
No?
No, David, and I keep wanting to say Leon Russell. It's not Leon Russell. But, it's Leon and David, and I work with them so much that they have their ads usually at Arvest Bank when there's an auction. We have the next
Are they
one.
located? They're not located. They're not the ones in Westfield, are they?
No, they live in Lincoln.
Yeah, them
Well,
guys.
they live in Lincoln.
Okay.
But
I
anyhow.
have to get on their mailing list.
Oh, it is amazing, some of these things. The sewing machines, the last one I went to, they had, I want to say that she had 15 sewing machines. I didn't bid on any of them, and they go real reasonable, guys. I don't ever see an antique sewing machine for more than, oh gosh, I think the highest one was 75. And I don't think it was, I can't remember what it even was. I got a really old little Singer head that sewed really like a charm. I paid $7 for it. Yeah. So these auctions, if you gotta look at the paper at the Arvest Bank. Most of them list what they've got on for sale.
Which are this one?
Any
branch?
Well, no, I don't think Fayetteville would put Lincoln's auctions or Westville's auctions or Siloam. Maybe Siloam. The next one, I'll see if I can get some flyers, and I'll bring them to Pam and Cliff if they want to keep them here.
Yes, and if it's got an email address, send it to us.
Oh, I think David does. I think they have a website.
Let's send
I'm looking
that
at it
to
right
me.
now to see if they
Okay.
can find. Oh, they got car auction. I need one.
Okay,
It's
so
not
anybody
Gephardt
else
auctions,
bring
is
show
it?
and tell?
No, it's David, it's Leon and David. I'm trying for the life of me to.
I've shown it before. Oh, yeah. I just haven't.
I showed these the other night, Stash Busters, but I only brought two tonight. I'm kind of at a standstill, or I was at a standstill, so I've been making baby quilts, pieces and patches. And this is a Jenny Doan tutorial. It was called, she called it the Missouri Star. So, and this is just, most of it is scraps from one I made for my great-granddaughter. But I've made 6, and I only brought 2 tonight, because everybody saw the 6.
Hey, I didn't know if you figured out.
And then this one is
The other night.
more of a little boy one. I like the fabric in it.
What's
So,
It's cute.
Are you at home?
so cute. But I'm gonna give them
Yeah,
probably
that'll be
to
fine, or hour and a half.
Charlotte to quilt. So,
Okay, bye.
All right, and who else?
I brought, this was, Pam taught me how to quilt with this one. And I had it a year ago. I finished it yesterday.
oh, beautiful.
Hey.
Oh,
I love the colors.
And I'm playing with free motion quilting. I got a lot to learn.
But she's doing quite well.
Are you doing that on your, just your regular sewing? Really?
See, I
Save
tried,
your battery pack.
I tried just doing a strip quilt on mine, and I can't even fit.
Leon Tucker and David,
David
Kidd.
Yeah, I've got it right here.
Kid.
Yeah.
Tuckerandkidd.com. TuckerandKidd.com. Tuckerandkidd.com.
Okay, who else? Well, bring it.
I went around the table.
I think we've been around the table. They would have jumped
I
up by now.
don't think that I showed this
Oh.
back in the winter.
Oh, you better hang on to it.
Oh,
because
that is so cute. Doesn't he look vintage?
And I quilted it too.
Those eyes make that snowman.
Yeah, I like the eyes.
Yeah, it's fusible, and then I applicate it on the machine.
You did a really good job. That's beautiful.
And then you did the quilting. I actually followed the lines in the background of the fabric.
Uh-huh.
you know,
Leaves
the
and
branches
birds,
and things like that. It's just a little walkthrough.
That's sweet.
And then, Rosemary had some quilts that needed bindings put on them, and Judy took them home and put the bindings on, so we thought we would show them before I take them and give them back to her husband. I might remember what they are when we see them.
Look how
I'm not sure.
I like the yellow. Boy, that's
She liked yellow and blue. And I'm not sure who quilted them.
Probably that lady in Colorado, huh?
I don't know. She got to where she was using Mary Covey along in
Oh, was
Tulsa
she?
too.
Pink colors. There we go.
Sacred Creek Quilts. Who is that?
That's the back.
Yes, that was online. It was at Penalto Road. I looked that up. Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah.
There's the house.
Okay.
Lean to the right.
That's very, see, mine was just.
Oh, bless your heart. Well, everyone else has turned around and gone back home. Yeah, so. Yeah. Katha and Bobby made it, but they've been here. They turned off the side roads well before the wreck and got here, but everybody else has gone back home.
guess we'll go the way we came.
Well, I was gonna say,
I
Cliff and I were
would too,
coming
I'm
back
sorry
from
you had the
somewhere, I don't know where
difficulties.
we were, but we were, on
Yes, wasn't that awful?
I-40,